What if your mindset was the most potent tool you own? Ricky Mendez believes exactly that.
Where the women empowerment came in for me is I'm kind of in your face. I kind of got high energy, but without that feminine energy, I get burnt out. And it was something that I needed. I remember where I was when it clicked for me. I remember who was around me. I remember what the woman said on stage that triggered something in my brain to be like, I'm only relying on half of my power.
He's an international speaker, consultant, and sales trainer on a mission to turn belief into behavior.
One thing I live by is I'm not going to point fingers, I'm going to point thumbs. Susceptibility is something I just don't think women understand the power that they have. I think it's a lack of awareness of how powerful they really can be. And also on the men's side of how powerful it can be when we allow feminine energy in. It's not one or the other, it's both.
He doesn't just motivate, he implements. He teaches how to defeat procrastination, negativity, and fear through what he calls mindset fitness over willpower.
What do you think your personal X factor is?
My personal one is I just ask for help. Asking for help is the greatest strength in the world, and it will get you to where you want to go faster than you ever thought if we can just get over our damn selves.
Hi, everyone, and welcome. Today, I'm sitting down with someone who truly lives and breathes the power of mindset, Ricky Mendez. Ricky is a speaker, coach, and thought leader who has inspired thousands of people to shift their thinking, elevate their energy, and lead with purpose. But what I'm especially excited to dive into today is his passion for empowering women and women in leadership. We're going to talk about the confidence gap, breaking through self-doubt, and how mindset isn't just a buzzword, it's a tool that can transform how we show up in our businesses and our lives. So whether you're a woman building a career in real estate, stepping into a leadership role, or just looking for that spark to keep going to that next level, this conversation is for you. So let's jump in. Ricky, welcome to the pod.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
I am so happy that you're here, and I'm so excited for this conversation in particular. So I want to jump right in because you talk a lot about a phrase that you call mental fitness. So what is that concept? Where did it take root for you? And how do you see it sort of taking shape for women in particular and how we lead?
Yes, I mean, so I'll start from the reverse on that. For women in particular, there's a message is just speak up, like speak up. And do not let weak men or weak ass-minded men tell you what you can or you cannot do. They're talking about them.
Here, say it again. Say it again for the people in the back.
I mean, it is true, man. It's just like, do not let weak men or weak ass-minded men tell you what you can or you cannot do. And when we talk women empowerment, it's not necessarily me talking about women empowerment, empowering them. It's just sharing how women and a feminine energy has empowered me. And a lot of people it's not even something that a lot of people look at, especially from a man's perspective, but it's helped my life tremendously. I look for women mentors, and it's a shift that happened. So that's the first part of, like, in terms of women and what the necessity I would look at and how much the world is starving for learning from more badass women. Mindset fitness to me is we think about what we're going to drink. We think about what we're going to eat. We think about what we're going to work out. We think about all these different things, but we don't think about what we're going to think about. And so when we look at our brain, it's the most marvelous, miraculous, inconceivably powerful freaking force that we know. And it's just on autopilot with people. People just bitch and complain. We walk around, we just complain about this. We give our power away every single second of every single day. So why not work this out first thing before we let things like this program us? That's, in my interpretation, that's what mindset fitness is. And to me, it's the lowest hanging fruit that people they go about their day and they let this go on autopilot. And when I let that happen, because no one's perfect, but when I let that happen, my internal dialogue is, Ricky, shame on you. You're wasting your time if you're giving your power away. And where the women empowerment came in for me is I'm kind of, if you can tell, I'm a little bit of like in your face. I kind of got high energy, but without that feminine energy, I get burnt out. And it was something that I needed. And I remember where I was when it clicked for me. I remember who was around me. I remember what the woman said on stage that triggered something in my brain to be like, oh, I'm only relying on half of my power. So that's kind of where that comes from in what I look at, my perception, at least, on what mindset fitness is.
Okay, so you said a lot there. I loved all of it, but I want to unpack some of it a little bit. So do you think women are more susceptible to, I'm going to call it weak mindset fitness than men are, in terms of being vulnerable to or susceptible to all of this sort of like people pleasing and sort of forces around us?
So susceptibility it's a tough word, because I always, one thing I live by is I'm not going to point fingers, I'm going to point thumbs. So when I look at pointing thumbs, susceptibility is something I just don't think women understand the power that they have, because a lot of times I'm a speaker. I speak all over the world. I speak on big stages, small stages. When I go to an event, it's 90% of people that look like me. So they just don't see it as often. So I don't know if it's necessarily susceptibility. I think it's a lack of awareness of how powerful they really can be. And also on the men's side of how powerful it can be when we allow feminine energy in. It's not one or the other, it's both. So I think it's something that just understanding that power and having strong women mentors to look up to, which is a responsibility of all of us to really do. So I would say maybe it's a lack of understanding the power within, and maybe that becomes a little bit of susceptibility. But I want people to know any excuse that women are making out there, the same thing I'll say to men is like, bullshit. Like, you have every power in you to speak up. And if you don't, it's almost reckless and irresponsible not to share your vision. And when you do, you will find that people will support it. Not everybody, but some people will. And those are your people. So I think it's just, if we look internally about the power that we genuinely have and that we were given to be on this planet, it can be pretty powerful from within.
Yes. And definitely that need to speak up is something personally I'm leaning into more and more myself. And I'm fortunate to have platforms like this, to have conversations like the one that we're having. But we all need to do that as women at every stage of our life. And it's definitely something that I am encouraging women to do and trying to create opportunities for women to do, because if we don't, who will, right? And I think that's what we're all realizing as we look at the lack of change that has happened for women in leadership over the last, I'll say, 3 decades of my professional career. I've seen very little change. If we don't, who will? And that is really sort of what I say to myself all the time as I observe all the things that are sort of happening in the world. So thank you for speaking up, and particularly being a man and speaking up and becoming such a tremendous sort of sponsor for all of us as women. It's very rare. And when we sort of met and started talking, and I learned about sort of your vision and mission and passion around women in leadership, I was like, we need to talk about it on the podcast. So, as it is very rare to meet somebody as passionate about this as you are. So, we talked about the, sort of the idea of having mental fitness. You're also very passionate about another observation and another sort of challenge that women in leadership deal with, and that is the confidence gap. So tell us a little bit about the confidence gap.
Yeah. So I look at confidence as always. I'm going to look at pointing thumbs and not fingers. So that's an internal deal. When people have confidence or lack confidence, I always look to the arena in which they're playing on and what they're playing. Who is their now? We've heard it a million times. Your attitude, your income, and your lifestyle is going to be an average of the 5 people that you spend your time with. So I think that the confidence, at least for me, in my perspective, it comes from just going and doing. So when women speak up, look, it ain't going to be easy. If the old saying is, it was easy, everybody would do it. When you do it, you're going to be ridiculed. Some people will shame you. Some people ridicule you. Some people will doubt you. Some people will laugh at you. It's going to happen. When you deal with that, it's just like facing any other fear, because you got 2 things. Number 1, you don't see more women speakers. Number 2, public speaking is one of those things. And I'm not saying on stage, but whether it's a freaking selfie video on Instagram, whatever it is, consider yourself a speaker. And when you do that, you're up level, in my opinion, you're up leveling your life. And when you do that, people around you are either going to like it or they're not. They're going to find, for me at least, it found very few people were in between. I either got judged and laughed at or I got supported. And I was like, awesome, I'm going to find out who my people are. So to me, that confidence gap is going and doing, going and doing, going and doing. The more you do that and the more that you deal with the bullshit and the ridicule and this, and the more that you dive into the people who are you, that's what elevates confidence. It's not about being perfect. And in what you're doing, I'm sure it hasn't been easy. I'm sure your journey is full of ups and downs and frustrations and being pissed off and being all the things that we all go through and can get magnified on a women's stage. But like just sharing that is helping. So I know a lot of women, Heather Monahan, I want to introduce you to her. She's got a great book. She's in Miami too. She's a dear friend. She's been a huge mentor to me. Just like creating that network of people that are like-minded, that's what elevates confidence to me. Going and doing and building your tribe will create confidence. And the people that don't support it, judge you, ridicule you, awesome. They'll fall by the wayside. So either way, you win. That's what, in my opinion, really elevates that confidence.
So, Ricky, have you observed that women are more harsh on other women?
I have learned that a little bit, at least from my perspective, from a male's perspective. And especially, like a lot of times I'll be at an event or maybe I'll MC an event and there's just no women speakers and they're literally trying to find them. And it's sometimes I've asked some people, and you'll know really quickly when you ask certain groups to support other groups, you'll know immediately if they're like, yes, call this person, or well, not sure, those types of things. Do I think it's more than men? It's a good question. My guess would be slightly yes, but in both arenas, you have people that are going to run and support and be an ambassador and other people that are going to pull you down. Either way, there's that in both. So if there is that in women, I believe in an attitude of gratitude, no matter what it is, if you can convert energy from negative to positive. So if that is the case, go find out who's your tribe, and then you're surrounded by the right people. In those cases, then that type of stuff kind of falls by the wayside as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you find that women, I'll share from a female perspective, right? One of the challenges I think we face as women in putting ourselves out there is that harsh judgment. And women are, judged more harshly for those, I'll call it superficial things, right? How we look, how we are presented, all of those sorts of things. So getting past that is part of that confidence gap, right? Of just like, this is who I am. I'm just going to show up and accept that and take that criticism for that. So what tips would you give women for putting ourselves out there on stages, on camera, to level up, as you say, and get past that?
Okay, so a number of things there. First and foremost, good. Like, because now what a great opportunity that is. If it was easy, everybody would do it. So good, because the people that do that and judge you, they are giving you a springboard to build confidence that you didn't have before. What an opportunity. So that's the first thing, is just framing perspective. Our most marvelous, miraculous, inconceivably powerful force the world has ever known. Let's use it to serve us and to serve others, so then we don't fall down the other rabbit hole of going negative and all that stuff. So that's my first thing, is framing that internal dialogue of what a great opportunity that is. In the second part of it, if I put a correlation to where women wanted to go, I want to speak on stage, or I want to have a course, or whatever the goal is. When you have a story to tell, it's reckless and irresponsible not to share it, in my opinion. So let's just say we worked on a prosperity plan. And let's just say that end goal was to make 6 figures a month speaking or sharing. Maybe it's just to be able to share one Instagram story every week. The scale is irrelevant. The universe will not reward scale, it'll reward consistency. So I don't care about the scale. Whatever that goal is, there's the goal. Now, if I told you that every time you were ridiculed, it got you another inch or foot or mile closer to that goal, then that's a great frame, because then I welcome that, because every time I have that, then it gets closer to my goal. And so I know you want to know the thing that the people that never want to be ridiculed, never want to put themselves out there, in my opinion, just my opinion, it's a waste of life, because you're going to wake up and wonder one day, what if? So I think all of those things are just framing the perspective of what the opportunity is, and thinking of the people that your story can help. Personal story. When I started speaking, I could be in front of 5,000 people and be fine. The second I put a selfie, if you saw that, that's the quokka. That's right there. The minute that I started doing a selfie video, I hated it. I started sweating, and then I started to listen to my mentors. And I remember one mentor said, and excuse my language, but said, Ricky, you got to get the fuck over yourself. If you have a mission and you don't share it, then you don't care. Because there's a whole bunch of people out there talking and talking and talking. I want to see more doing. And he he kicked my ass in terms of like, man, that was a good frame. So all of those things put together, help us get across that gap that we might not feel super confident in yet, but then it comes, and then we got an army of people that support us, because you're going to know really fast the people that support you and there's people that don't. I still remember when I started, I had people laughing at me. I had people saying, hey, you're confusing people. What are you doing? You've never done this before. I said, they're just not my people. So it's a great litmus test for the people that you allow into your life and allow you to have a perception of mindset around those people.
Okay. So amazing. You are doing something that I want to just hone in on for the folks that are listening, because mindset mastery is something that is like your wheelhouse. It's what you teach people on, coach people on, and it's really what you just did with us here in this conversation. But I want to pull back the curtain and share with people a technique that you just walked us through. And that is, you use the word several times about framing. So just tell us a little bit about this framing technique and how we can all use it to help control our mindset and reset our mindset. So pull behind the curtain to this technique that you just used in this conversation.
Sure. Yeah. And then it's like, man, how many hours do we have here? Because I can share.
It's just so valuable.
And you just sort of slid into it that I just want to just dig into it a little bit.
No, I appreciate you noticing that, because it is something that I'm so used to, I brush over. And I'll tell you this, if I was doing this with a man, a lot of times they don't recognize that. So it's the perception that helps me every time, whenever I do any collaboration with women. But framing, the real simple thing is I just have a ton of levers that I go to when my crap storm happens in my life. So I don't spend weeks, months, and years in a really downward mindset. I spend moments and minutes, I feel, because I just have a lot of tools in my tool belt to convert energy from negative to positive. So framing is everything. The second, I have two choices. Things happen. I can choose to look at it productively. I can choose to look at it negatively. Pointing thumbs. That choice is mine. So if I'm looking at the world, I think it was Phil Knight, he was like, if you only see the problems, you're not seeing the world clearly. You're not seeing clearly. So I am just conditioned. The first thing I do before I pick up my phone every day, for the most part, and I'm not perfect either, but I work on this. So I like to call it visualization over meditation. And I just have a ton of little mindset, little hacks. So for example, anytime that I catch myself going down a negative or rabbit hole, I'm going to frame that kind of situation differently. So one of the ways that I do this, let's just say I'm going down a really negative rabbit hole. I have a gratitude poem. And on the gratitude poem, when I'm at an event, it irritates me. I have to think of an attitude of gratitude when people say this: write 3 things you're grateful for. Well, that's missing the juice in my opinion. So I wrote a gratitude poem, and on the front side, everything that people are usually complaining about, bitching and complaining, bitching and complaining, bitching and complaining. And on the other side are things that it's easy to be grateful for. But it's like when we get in shape, we don't run downhill, we run uphill. We do things that are hard. So I use gratitude when it's hard, when I'm going through a crap storm. So I write things down that piss me off, and I use my most marvelous, miraculous, inconceivably powerful force the world has ever known to find out why that's productive. So I'll give you an example. I fly all over the country, all over the world to do events. The thing that drove me nuts, was a screaming baby on the plane when I was trying to sleep. And I apologize to anybody that's got kids out there, but I would be like turning around and being like, somebody shut that baby up or I'm going to shut it up. And then I remember my mentor, he told me—
the guy that works with children, literally.
Yep.
Writes hilarious.
Strikes. Wrote children's book, do events with kids, not married, no kids. And then that's what triggered my gratitude prayer. Well, I remember taking my
He's forgetting that one, but we'll do that there.
And I remember my mentor saying, Ricky, don't let external things, no matter what the scale, have an effect on your brain, because then it has an effect on your heart, and then it has an effect on your entire body. We're dripping cortisol day in and day out. So I wrote on a yellow pad, I said, I am grateful, period, for the screaming baby on the plane, because it means that I can hear. And I thought of all the people that couldn't hear, that were deaf. And now my eyes work, my arms work, my legs work. And here I am bitching and complaining. And I remember getting emotional. So I just have a ton of those little things on my gratitude poem on the front side, everything that people are usually complaining about and why it's productive in my life. So now it's just my brain is conditioned when something challenging happens, why is it making me better? So that's one little hack. Another one that I would strongly, strongly suggest for women is make an album on your phone. Title it, I Am Great. It's going to feel weird. Anytime somebody says, I'm good job, or thanks for the time, it could be as big as you saved my life, and it can be as minuscule as thanks for the 3-minute phone call today. Screenshot it, put it in that album. When your crap storm comes, turn around, stop, pause, read it. Now neurochemically, I'm having a different experience. I'm getting my heart ready, and now I feel better. Now I can go back on the things of what I'm looking to do in the world. But it's basically just pausing and not letting the negativity not penetrate, but just let it pause so I can redirect it. So I got about 50 of those. So that's why people ask, is Ricky, he's just a positive guy. And I'm like, no, that's why I work on it. Like, it's a skill set. Don't you dare underestimate how hard and how many years I've put in to be able to convert energy from negative to positive. And I think that's a powerful one for women. I have one in my phone of women mentors and how they've helped me in a way a man never could. So all those things kind of add up to how I reframe when my crop storm comes, because it's going to come to everybody at some point. Money, health, finances. We ain't getting out of this life alive without having those 3 challenges big time in our lives, I don't think.
Yeah. And I think being more aware of that and how we do that, and then communicating that, and you communicate it so eloquently that is something that all of us as leaders, regardless of gender, have an opportunity to lean into and really develop that as a strength. So, Ricky, the title of my podcast is X Factor. And a question I ask all of my guests is, what do you think your personal X Factor is?
Gotcha. I mean, my personal one is I just ask for help. I think people are so afraid to ask for help, especially men. We're strong. We can do it. We don't need help, blah, 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 blah. And asking for help is the greatest strength in the world, and it will get you to where you want to go faster than you ever thought if we can just get over our damn selves. So asking for help, most people think it comes from weakness, and it doesn't. That's a very male-dominated view of the world, in my opinion. So asking for help is just something that I do. I've asked for your help. I'm not afraid to ask for help. Some people will help you and some people won't. But your job, in my opinion, is to put that energy out into the world. Some people will help, some people won't. But asking for help is a very positive energy. It's a very open energy. It's a very receiving energy. As long as we don't commit the result of asking that help to how we feel, whether they help us or not, that is how I believe we put good energy in the world, to not be dependent on the outcome. But I would say that's an X factor that has helped my life immensely in many different ways. And I would kind of hit it back at you. If you can share, what do you think? I'm sure you've shared this on your show before, but I would say, what is that lesson that you've learned, I'm sure it's many of them, that could help women to kind of have more of a voice in any industry, mostly of which are male dominated?
Yeah, it is to speak up. And I've shared that when I reflect back on my career, I wish I would have found the courage to speak up sooner and earlier in my career. And it's not easy to speak up. So whether it is in, boardroom settings or meeting settings, it's speaking up. Right. And just finding your voice. And you said it in today's conversation, right, is you may not be heard. What you said may not be, accepted or received well. But if you don't try, if you don't speak up, you're never going to know. And I think that is becoming exceedingly more important in today's world, is speaking up and having the courage to speak up.
Yeah, it's awesome too, because that's it's funny. This is what I say to people when I'm coaching or executive coaching or whatever it is. I was like, I paid the dummy tax for you. learn from me. And it's the same thing. So if there's women out there that are thinking, are kind of on the fence, like, I can share the same thing coming from a male's perspective, and what, Wendy just shared coming from a women's perspective. Like, listen to people that have been there, and we paid the dummy tax for you. So speak up. Like, life is too damn short not to. And I think that's just something, if we can keep that in the back of our minds, we have the better chance of making a legitimate difference.
Yeah. I think the other thing that I talk a lot about, and you have touched on it, is as women leaders, there's a shift from finding mentors to finding sponsors. And what I really encourage men and women is to become and move more towards sponsorship. So women need sponsors as they move towards or move along their careers. And the difference,
Can you touch on that?
yeah, the difference between having a mentor and having a sponsor is that a mentor is there to sort of like guide and coach you, right? A sponsor is there to open doors for you. So a sponsor is going to be somebody that says, there's a job available, you should talk to Wendy. There's a board position available, you should talk to Wendy. You need somebody for this, Wendy's the person you want to talk to. You need a female speaker, Wendy's your person.
Nice. Where
a mentor doesn't play that same sort of a role, right? A mentor, you and I, if you're my mentor, we have one-on-one conversations, right? And we're working together. We have a different type of relationship. If you're my sponsor, you're playing a different role. So those sponsorship relationships and understanding that difference could change things dramatically when we think about women in leadership. And I think that is a movement and an opportunity that certainly I and others are very much advocating for, of how we could create change at the table of women in leadership.
Yeah. Yeah. I see a sponsorship event in our future. I really like that. And I think it's because people, if they really dive into that meaning, then they'll outwardly go to do that, not just when people ask. And I think that, like, the proactiveness versus the reactiveness in that opportunity can be life-changing, because now it's not just waiting on people to ask, but it's going out and looking for there as a sponsor, ambassador.
Yeah, that's a key difference, the difference between being proactive and reactive.
Yeah.
For that. I think that it is one of the things that I think men will say to women, go get a mentor, go get a coach. And that's a very passive thing to say to a woman. It's sort of like making it your problem, right? Like, okay, you go deal with that. And it's like, well, no, that is not going to change anything, right? Which is why we haven't seen a lot change in women's leadership. So, all of those things. Okay, we got to wrap up our conversation here. You and I could talk about this for a long time. I had a couple closing questions to ask you. Do you have a personal mantra for help? Have a mantra?
Yeah. Ask for help, keep it positive. That's like, there's, if we're going through challenges, for me personally, it's like, did it kill me? Like, literally, am I still here? Do I have a pulse? Am I still on the planet? That means I got a chance. So for me personally, it's like, am I still alive? Okay, let's look at the perspective. Do I need to ask for help? And let's go ask for help. That's kind of when I'm going down a crap storm. If I'm not in a crap storm, I'm in the kind of the state of like, what can I do to help? So I think it's both. Sometimes it's a thrive state. Sometimes we're helping people. Sometimes we're offering help. So if I'm looking to do specific things, then it transitions to, can somebody help me, or what can I do for somebody else?
Awesome. All right. Is there one book you would recommend that any female leader read?
Chicken Soup for the Soul, Chicken Soup for the Women's Soul. 100%.
I have that.
That book had such an impact on my life. It's simple. I've never been tested, but I think I might be dyslexic, so I read really slow. And so those are short stories that they can come in chunks. They can come in little like chunks. I don't have to read the whole book. So I love quick little positive hits in my life of where it might take 30 seconds to be able to convert energy. So I love Chicken Soup for the Soul. And then there's Chicken Soup for the Women's Soul, Chicken Soup for the Writer's Soul, all kinds of chicken soup.
Oh, I love the whole series too. Great recommendation. What's up for you next? What are you working on?
For me, it's any events. We do events with schools and kids from kindergarten to 8th grade. We teach lessons of kindness, gratitude, and asking for help. I bring my Cirque du Soleil partners in. We have the kids learn from a visual standpoint, an auditorial standpoint, an emotional standpoint. There's no energy like that when you're working with kids. So if anybody knows any schools out there that are looking to be proactive in terms of mental health with kids, kindergarten through 8th grade, I can share with you a link. My children's book hopefully would be out at the beginning of the year. I'm self-publishing. It's called Grateful Grayson. It's a quokka. This is the quokka. It's the happiest animal on the planet. And the mentor in the book is Amelia the mentor. She's a woman to show that she can lead anybody, men or women. So it's all in rhyme, and it's what I think can help solve our happiness problem.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being here today. It's been just a delight talking with you. And thank you for everything that you do in your sponsorship of women in leadership and everything that you do to support all of our women leaderships here, women leaders here at EXP. You're a great friend to all of us, and we certainly appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. Shout out to Elizabeth Riley. We've had great conversations about this. She's been a big impact on my life as well. But yeah, I thank you so much, Wendy. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Take care.
Okay. Bye.